Pre-season is finally here and Leeds United have just lost 2-0 against Manchester United. Probably not the goal. Thankfully, there's a lot of lessons to be learned, including for Daniel Farke, for us, and ultimately what's going to happen with the team over the next season. So find out more about how Leeds United played against Manchester United in Norway, and what you can expect to see in the Championship this year. First up, the formations. It was a fairly basic 4-2-3-1. 4 at the back with wing-backs that like to attack a little bit, 2 holding midfielders. That varied between the halves, but then again there was a complete change of personnel. And then you've got your technically 3 attacking midfielders and striker, but it didn't quite play that way. It was a very fluid 4. You could see Poveda on the right wing flowing across to the left a lot of the time, Sinisterra over to the right. Anyone can play anywhere in that system. Now, I'm going to run through the pros and cons of the match, but I'm going to start with the cons just because I like to end on a positive note. And the first major con was there were quite a lot of individual errors. Now, you come to expect individual errors when it comes to pre-season matches. No one's been playing for a few months, and especially when you've got 2 different 11s both playing, like the only player that went all the way through the match was Cody Drammer. Yeah, it's basically understandable that people make mistakes. However, both of Manchester United's goals came from these errors. The first one was Danny van den Heuvel not saving a shot that was basically right at him, following Pascal Struijk giving away the ball where he shouldn't. That was sort of awful, and if that happens in the Championship, it's going to happen more often because there's more pressure and there's going to be some big consequences for the club. And the second goal was also caused by a mistake. It was Luke Ayling losing his man at the back post who was able to just stroll on in and finish quite easily. Even though the assistant manager flagged for offside... Even though the assistant referee flagged for offside, that shouldn't really matter too much because you should be sticking with your man anyway. And that leads to something that I think the entire Leeds squad needs to deal with this season. When they came on, Bamford, Ayling and Struijk all looked kind of not at it. Now, again, it's pre-season, this is going to happen sometimes, but when you've got 3 players who were all accused last season of not being at the pace, continuing that in a pre-season friendly against effectively an under-21 side, it's not really good enough. Drama is more than an adequate replacement for Luke Ayling, but I think there needs to be something done to take a look at how you fill in for Pascal Struijk and Patrick Bamford. Whether that's in the transfer market or trusting in youth players, I think they might need to be phased out, or at least maybe Daniel Farke can do something with them, but at the moment they didn't quite seem good enough. However, whilst it might not seem like it at the moment, there was a hell of a lot of good stuff to get from that friendly. The first is the sheer amount of talent in young players that Leeds United have at the moment. Look at the midfield alone. You had Darko JB, Lewis Bate, Archie Gray and Jamie Shackleton, although he's not quite as young as those. But that's all 4 talents who can add quite a lot to that midfield with a lot of energy and a lot of control. JB and Gray in particular really impressed me, and Lewis Bate, when he was on the ball, looked so comfortable. He's going to be fine in the Championship, I think. Another area of positives is in the attack. Now, in both halves, the first and the second, there was a lot of fluidity in that front 4. You had players from the wings switching to the other flank whenever needed. The striker dropping in, number 10 pushing up. There's a lot of attacking talent at Leeds United as well. Luis Sinisterra was magical with his feet, he always is. Jan Poveda took me by surprise. He had a season at Blackpool last year where he apparently didn't shine too much, but we'll take it. And Jorginho Rutter was incredible for me. He was really creative. He put our best chance on a plate for Sam Greenwood, who unfortunately couldn't quite make it. But yeah, he's showing what we paid quite a lot of money for. Extra shout out, of course, to Dan James, who looks ready to continue his tradition of rugby tackling goalkeepers into the next season. At the end of the day, drawing total conclusions from pre-season is always a bad idea, but after the first match you can see there's quite a lot of talent in the lead side, it just needs nurturing into a tactical shape. All of the issues were either personal mistakes or players being a little bit rusty and not used to the tactics. I think structurally we're looking quite good to do well in the Championship, but I don't want to put too much hope into that. Obviously there's some areas for investment. We only had 1 player play at left back, Leo Hjelde, and he's technically a centre back, I think. The other one was Cody Drammer, who is a right back, who will hopefully take Luke Ayling's spot this season. Yeah, investment is going to be crucial in lots of spots, but we can hope. Ultimately, it's pre-season, don't read too much into it, look for the good things, try to hope the bad things get better. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked, leave a comment, subscribe, see you later.